Hey Internet, Eric here. I'm back after a couple weeks off. Just been tired, lots of stuff going on. But my first video back, I've decided I'm going to finish the Lost Boys, finish discussing the Lost Boys trilogy. Today I'm discussing Chapter 3, Lost Boys: The Thirst. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I do discuss plot spoilers and specific scenes, so watch at your own risk. This came out in 2010, I believe. Basic plot is Corey Feldman is back as Edgar Frog, main character this time, and he's at the end of his rope. His trailer's getting repossessed. He's got no money to pay bills, so he's like selling his comic book collection for cash. And he meets up with this woman named Gwen, who is basically kind of a parody of Stephenie Meyer, who wrote the Twilight books, because she writes romantic vampire novels. And she says her brother was kidnapped at a rave and by a group of vampires, and she's hiring Corey or Edgar to go rescue him. Doesn't want to do it. Eventually he does because he needs the fucking money. And she teams him up with, I wrote the character's name because it's so hilarious. He's a former reality TV star, Lars von Getz. Best fake name ever for an actor, on one of those shows. He's one of those. He's kind of like the Crocodile Hunter. He does extreme sports, he wrestles bears and stupid shit like that. And Lars thinks it's gonna get him back on reality TV. So it's Edgar Frog. It's Lars von Getz. It's Edgar's friend Zoe. She works at the comic book store, and it's basically them going into this nest of vampires to rescue Gwen's brother Peter, I believe. And there's also a side story where this rave DJ X, he's the vampire that kidnapped Peter. He has all these secret raves, and all the people that are invited to the rave, they're given this liquid drug that ends up being vampire blood, and he's going to create this whole horde of vampires. Basic plot. And yes, the Frog brothers are back. Jameson Newlander is back as Alan Frog, very briefly, but he is there. Okay, this is going to be in a playlist of the Lost Boys retrospective. I discussed the first one, how I really enjoy it, but it is overrated. I have discussed the second one, The Tribe, which is okay for maybe one or two viewings. Lost Boys: The Thirst is so much fucking fun. I had a blast with this movie. I've probably watched this, honestly, more than the original, and I have so much fun with this. All right, let's talk Corey Feldman as Edgar Frog. I love how he's now this grumpy curmudgeon. Now everything's going wrong. He hates life. Okay, because I'm going to assume you've already seen the previous two. Sam is now dead because Edgar had to take him out. If you've seen the mid-credit scene, motorcycles driving by. Alan, you now find out that it was Alan he was talking about in The Thirst when he said he lost a loved one to the other side, because Alan is in this as a half vampire. You find that out in the very beginning. So his life is shit, and I like how nothing's going right for him. He's only doing this for the money. At first, he didn't want to do this rescue mission because he didn't want to work with Gwen, because, as he grumpily says, what did he say she did? She glorifies vampirism, and he just hates that idea, but he does it for the money. He's great. I love his macho, tough guy act, and it's just so much fun. And he's got excellent chemistry with everyone in this film. I love, he is a good friend and protector to Zoe. I love how he's disgusted by everything that Gwen represents. I love when he's with Lars von Getz. Lars von Getz keeps calling him Toad instead of Frog, and Edgar just hates that. He hates the fact that he has to be partnered with Lars von Getz. They have a great chemistry. Lars is this over-the-top character, and Edgar wants nothing to do with him. One of my favorite scenes is they're getting on the boat to go to this island that this rave is on. And Lars is there just doing his push-ups or whatever the fuck he's doing. And he looks over and he sees everybody. He's like, "Hey, Toad," or whatever. And then Edgar's just walking up to him, and he literally wraps his arms around Edgar. Edgar's arms are pinned like this, and he lifts him up, and you just hear Corey just go, like he doesn't want to fucking be there. So much fun. I love the grumpy, disheveled Edgar Frog. Lars von Get's character, he's over the top, but not too over the top. He's a slime ball, but you kind of, this actor has enough charisma where you're watching this guy. So that's a lot of fun. Like I said, the chemistry is great. The Zoe character, she's okay. She's nothing special, but she's not bad. She's got a good chemistry with Edgar. You can tell that they're friends, that they care about each other. The Gwen character, she's there to look hot. That's all it is. This actress doesn't really have a lot of acting talent, but she's not horrible. She's there because she's in like a bikini shot and she's in an underwear shot. That's all she's really there for. Her acting is not really fantastic, but it's not shitty. Jameson Newlander as Alan. I like the what they've done with his character. I like how he's this half vampire. He's struggling with living as a half vampire, knowing that his brother's out there doing what he's doing. I like how the little ideas that they've done with him. He's now a taxidermist, so he doesn't have to feed on the living. And when he's actually there's a brief scene where he's talking to Corey or Edgar in the beginning, and then a brief scene the end where he returns to help the group. It's fun. It's nostalgic. It's not over the top cheese. It's wow, this is a lot of fun. Loved it. There's some other characters that are okay. The DJX character doesn't really have a lot to do. I'm going to talk about another character at the end when I get to a major spoiler part. But the vampires here, as brief as it is, they're basically there just to do the attacks, which is fine. It's a big step up from the tribe. They're not trying to give them personality. They're just focusing on a couple vampires. And that's good because it helps where you don't have to realize, oh, these guys are dorks like in The Thirst, or these guys are just they're somewhat of a character, but I wish we knew more of them like in the original. They're there to do the dirty work, and that's it. Following DJX is okay. He's there just to look cool, but that's it. But overall, acting is great. I love. There's a scene in the very beginning when Alan is changed. He's forced to drink the blood to turn him half. They're rescuing, I believe, a senator. Later on, we find out what happened to that senator. The senator is now Edgar's weapons dealer. Love that character too. As brief as he's in this movie, love the character. So 90% of these characters are great, and that's what makes this movie fun. Action is really good. The scene where they're at the arms dealer, and there is an attack going on. Great action. You get to see some of the weapons in use. There's fun action when they're sneaking into the rave. Even though you can tell a lot of the guys are on wires, like when they're floating through the air and they're like walking or whatever, that looks noticeable. But I love there's a scene where Edgar, one of the female vampires, is attacking somebody. And Edgar's got his little rocket launcher of, condoms or balloons full of holy water. And he's shooting it at her. You see it in the trailer. And he's shooting at her, and she's dodging it as she's also walking the walls in fucking high heels. And it just looks awesome. It's so much fun. The gore. And we'll talk about the action at the end where Edgar and Alan are reunited, to stop, DJX. And they got, they got samurai swords or katanas or whatever, and they're fighting DJX. It's just a fun scene with Zoe in the background trying to help, and she uses one of the gadgets from the arms dealer. Fun, so much fun. Have I said fun enough? The gore is really good. There's some neck rippings that are really good. There's a heart ripping scene. Someone's punched through the chest, and you see the heart come out. The gore on that is fantastic. Love it. And for low budget, this wasn't even Warner Brothers. This was like Warner Premiere. So that's like their straight to video company. So not a big budget on this, but you don't know is because it's the way it's done. You're already there for the ride, and you're like, that looks really, really cool. Soundtrack, nothing special. I think they do Cry Little Sister twice, maybe, but it's done really well. The scenery is great, you know, when they're on the island. Oh man, this movie is just a lot of fun. I had a blast with this. The only major downsides are that are noticeable are, like I said, when they're flying, when the vampires are flying through the air on the where you can tell it's obviously wires. Um, and DJX, he's not really that special. He's not intimidating. He's not scary like David was in the original. He's not. Let's see. And then in the tribe, when we had Kiefer's like half brother Angus was the lead vampire. Angus wasn't very intimidating as a look, but you knew he could kill you if he needed to. DGX, he's just there to spin the discs on the DJ machine or whatever the fuck it's called. Now, here is the part of the video where it's a major, major spoiler, but I have to reveal this to give the movie its props. So I'm going to count down from 3, and then if you haven't seen the film and you get pissed that it's been spoiled, it's your own fucking fault. The Peter character. Peter is the brother of Gwen, or so we think. He was supposedly kidnapped because I guess there's some minor plot about a blood moon sacrifice. That's not really important. I guess DJX was going to take his blood and become a king vampire, because you find out that the actual head vampire is Peter. And he's not just the head vampire of this little coven or whatever. He is the alpha, the head vampire of everything. And he's actually the boyfriend of Gwen. And that's why she wanted him rescued. And his purpose was he wants to hire Edgar as like his own vampire bounty hunter. When because if you think about it, eventually the vampires are going to run out of food, right? Because if they eat the whole human race, there's nothing else to feed on. So he wants Edgar to systematically take out all the vampires that are unnecessary. I like that idea. And I like the Peter character, the kid who plays, well, I say kid, he looks young, but the actor who plays Peter is so menacing looking in the way he talks, the way he moves, and it's cool because he looks kind of wimpy here, but you believe it. I like the fight scene between him and Edgar, and eventually Alan's taken out of it because this is after they killed DJX, and Alan hasn't changed back, so they find out about Peter. As brief, it's a lot more fulfilling, and you feel better. This is a greater fight scene than it was in the previous film, because the way that they defeat Peter, I really, really like it. I forgot to mention in my review for the tribe, Edgar is now an ordained minister. You know, that whole get ordained online type of thing, and they use it here in a awesome way, because when how he does it, I had totally forgotten that he was an ordained minister, and it works. It's the perfect use of Cry Little Sister. Edgar's last line, like basically, Arnold Schwarzenegger kills a guy, says a one-liner, and that this one-liner works perfectly. I love it. I'm not going to spoil it, but in the way how Edgar uses his hands and like a gun motion, that sounds cheesy, but if you fucking see it, it's awesome. And like I said, this guy who played Peter, he's really good. Just the way he walks and his body language when he's beating the shit out of Edgar. We see a little bit of his backstory, how he was the alpha vampire back in whatever year that was, and he's got the robe on, he's in the woods, and this movie is fucking creative, and I love it. It's so much fun. And sadly, it ends, well, not sadly, it doesn't affect the movie. It ends on kind of like, maybe there's going to be a fourth. Since all the vampires have been defeated, since Peter is gone, he was the alpha, there's talks of other creatures that are in the world, and maybe the Frog Brothers will go hunt them. And there was plans on a fourth film or a spin-off of just the Frog Brothers, but from what I read, sadly, Warner Premiere just closed down, so that will probably never ever happen. There's a cool little tribute to Corey Haim, you know, the Sam Emerson character with the Batman number 14. That's really cool, and what Edgar does with that comic book is really nice. Yeah, so overall, man, had a fucking blast with Lost Boys: The Thirst. Highly, highly recommended. If you did not like The Tribe and you want nothing to do with The Thirst because The Tribe might have left a bad taste in your mouth, give Lost Boys: The Thirst a shot. Trust me. I have, like I said, I've watched it probably, well, I said earlier, probably more than The Lost Boys. It's probably not true because I've owned The Lost Boys more or longer, but I've watched this one so many times because I have so much fun with it. And I think if you can just realize that if you're a huge Lost Boys fan, you know no sequel is going to be as good as the original. It's like Predator and Predator 2, you know, it's when the first one is so good and you're stuck in your mind, you're not really going to give the second one or whatever a fair chance. Give The Thirst a fair chance. I really think you'll enjoy it knowing that it's another Frog Brothers movie, and it's a lot of fun. So, yeah. In the end, that's it. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, share, click the bell, whatever the spiel is. Definitely check out Lost Boys: The Thirst. Comment below if you have seen it. Tell me I'm wrong. Comment below if you've just seen it and tell me I'm right. Or comment below with suggestions on what you want to see on my channel. I do have a Dead Alive review coming up soon. I have a Strangeland review coming up soon when I can finally get a copy. So Bronco Juggalo, don't worry, it's coming, dude. It's coming. But yeah, in the end, I just want to say cheers. And see, I used to be able to always think of quotes at the end of this, but I'm just going to say cheers, and Frog Brothers are back for blood. That was fucking stupid. Anyways, check out The Thirst.